Gambians enlist themselves to engage in foreign wars.
All right. But Doctor,
and we are saying that we don't encourage it, we discourage it. We are urging Gambians not to engage in such wars because it is risky, but also it is not in the national interest.
All right, but don't you think this release actually came a bit late? Because earlier on we have seen reports of this. I think 2 soldiers, Baji and others were there, and one even lost his life. And also, according to alleged reports, earlier on, like a few months ago, Gambians were going there and there was no update from the government till this release is out. So what mechanisms, I know they go there based on their own mandate, or they go in there even though the government frowns upon that, but what mechanisms are in place right now in order to help stop this or to cope the situation now?
But I don't think it's late. We are monitoring the situation. As a government, we don't act or we don't make knee-jerk reactions to reports. We need to verify those reports and ensure, or perhaps not ensure, and ascertain ourselves that there has been a clear pattern, and then we can act as a government. And we've seen there's a clear pattern. We've seen the numbers rise based on our monitoring, and we realize this is the time for us to make this press release that our citizens are not supposed to go and fight in foreign wars. Now, we cannot put, the only thing we can do is discourage them not to do it. But these are adults who make their own decisions to go and fight. It's difficult to stop them, but what we can do is to say that don't go and do it. But we cannot put in strong mechanisms. I'm not sure what mechanisms we can put in place. You cannot stop people from traveling outside because you don't know why they are traveling outside. So obviously, these are adults, they are mature adults who make their own decisions, but we are telling them that it's not a good decision and they must stay in this country and make use of the opportunities available to them.
All right, so what figures are we talking about right now? Do we have any figures of the Gambians that are involved in this, or the number of deaths as
No,
well?
we don't have the figures,
okay,
but we know that the numbers are rising. It is not only a Gambian problem, it's an African problem. We've seen Kenya making similar press releases and other countries in the continent as well. So it's a continental thing. So as a country, as a government that cares about its citizens, we don't want our citizens to go and die in these wars. That is why we made this press release to urge our citizens in a very strong manner to not engage themselves in such wars.
All right.
The second press release is from the Ministry of Interior, but through the Gambia Immigration Department. Now, the government, like I said, through the Immigration Department, has approved a mobile biometric passport enrollment mission to the Kingdom of Spain from 23rd March to 4th April. Now, this is in response to a recent announcement by the Spanish government to regularize the status of 500,000 Africans living in Spain. And when this was announced, many Gambians living in Spain made a request for them to be supported so they can access documents like passports. And as a result, now we'll be sending a mission to Spain from the 23rd of March to the 4th of April to enroll Gambian citizens and issue passports to them. That is those who are eligible to get these passports. Now, the initiative obviously supports Gambians in Spain, particularly under the regularization program, like I just discussed. Like I said, 500,000 Africans will be regularized. Applicants must complete payment and present required documentation, and the government remains committed to serving and protecting Gambians in the diaspora.
Would it be the same payment for passports in the Gambia? For those
no, I think for them it's 120 euros.
Oh, okay.
I think, yeah, 120
And will
euros.
it also include the season workers that were sent by the government? Or?
Well, do they exist anymore? There are no season workers there anymore. There were 39 that were sent. 6 came back. 33 disappeared in thin air.
Yeah.
So I don't think so. What I can tell you is that this initiative is to ensure that Gambians in Spain who are eligible to be enrolled to receive Gambian passports will be given the chance to do so. Now, the other 2 updates are good news. One has to do with the Africa governance rankings.
Yes.
Now, the Gambia is ranked among Africa's top 10 best governed countries alongside Cape Verde, Mauritius, Botswana, Ghana, and Senegal, and Sierra Leone as well. Globally, we are ranked 74 with a governance score of 47.6. Now, improvements in press freedom, political rights are noted in this report, but also long-term reforms in strengthening the rule of law and corruption control is also cited. Now, government, obviously, the reforms are ongoing, and these are centered on national development. So this is good news. I congratulate every Gambian, His Excellency the President. We congratulate him on this very important achievement that we are recognized as number 10 out of 54, 55 countries in Africa, but also out of 190 countries, 190 plus countries globally. We are number 74 as one of the best governed countries.
And what does that mean for the government now that election is fast approaching in December as well?
Let's not politicize this though. It's got nothing to do with elections. The president had a mandate to transform this country and is delivering on that mandate. And that mandate also not only included tangible development projects like roads, electricity, water, schools, healthcare, but also reforms, governance reforms, administrative reforms. And I think the government has done quite well in that. That is why when the president came, he saw the need to create a special ministry on public service and administrative reforms and delivery. And I think the reforms that has also taken place in terms of the media reforms, in terms of the legal reforms, but also, most importantly, public finance reforms that ensure that there is transparency, there is accountability. We brought in new legislation like the Anti-Corruption Act, setting up the Anti-Corruption Commission, but also the Access to Information Law, which ensures every Gambian has access to information in line with fundamental rights as enshrined in the Gambian Constitution. So all these things are reform, but also, most important also, some of these digitization reforms that we've done to make sure that public finances we don't only increase our revenue as a country, but also public finances are well managed to the extent that now nobody can steal public money in a blatant manner. So I think some of these reforms that the president has embarked on, the leadership he has provided, and his vision has really helped us achieve this very important score, whereby the whole African continent, 55 countries, 54, we are number 10 best governed country, and the whole world, 190 countries, we are number 74. It calls for celebration.
Yeah, that's a huge commitment there for the government as well. And we also understand you were also given a public service award by the African Student Union as well.
Yes, that's a personal one. Well, for me, awards, I don't celebrate awards. I see awards as challenges.
All right.
It just helps me to work harder. Right. But the next good news has to do with the Henley Passport Index 2026. So this Henley Passport Index comes out every year. And 2026, Gambia has ranked again strongly. In fact, we have the best passport in West Africa, according to the Henley passport. And globally, we are ranked number 64. Globally, out of, again, 190 plus countries, we are ranked number 64. Now, like I said, our passport remains from last year. The same thing was in 2025, the strongest passport in West Africa. And some of the parameters that inform or influence this index has to do with access in terms of citizens, how many countries we can access, either visa free or visa on arrival. And it is said that we Gambians can access over 70 destinations visa free or visa on arrival. Now, this obviously again reflects our sustained diplomatic engagement and international cooperation. So I think this is also, it also calls for celebration. Imagine, out of all the countries in West Africa, over 15 countries in West Africa, we have the strongest passport in West Africa. I think for Africa, I think we are number 12th. I'm not sure, I'll check. But globally, we are number, I think, 64. Yeah, 64, I think that calls for celebration as well.
It does, and I hope the prices of tickets will actually reduce now that our passport is stronger, because having the passports sometimes is not the problem, but getting the finances to travel to some of these places that are visa-free just for vacation is a problem. But Doctor, we also understand that the Gambia will not be seeking any extradition, that is for the Jinak tragic boat incident that happened. We know that so many people are still missing, others are actually no more here and there. So what is the government saying about this, even though we understand that, as it says, according to the reports, not from GRTS obviously, but from other outlets, that there will be no extradition on this issue that has happened, that has caused the tragic event of what happened in the past few months?
Well, I have not had any information on that, so it wouldn't be wise for me to comment on it. I'll find out, and maybe next week I'll give information on that.
All right. And what is
Then
next?
I think the final one has to do with the recent claim by the spokesperson of UMC
Yeah.
that the president, His Excellency, had offered the current mayor of Kanifing a vice presidential and ministerial position, which we are saying is false. It never happened. The purported meeting that was claimed never took place, and we challenge the spokesperson to tell us the date, the time, the place, and who attended that meeting. Otherwise, it's misinformation giving to the public. So we are just telling the public to disregard that information, that it is false, it never happened. The president has never, at any point in time, offered the current mayor of KM any position, let alone a vice presidential and a ministerial position. It is false, and the public must see it as misinformation.
Right. And that was actually posted on the Ministry of Information's social media outlet. I would just like to highlight something little that Uncle Madi also posted about that being there, that saying that pasting this NPP presser is not only illegal, but it's also unfair and unethical, that no person should use their platforms, especially government platforms, for any political pressers here and there, that ministers are political appointees and can only openly engage in partisan activities. But ministers should not utilize public institutions to promote political party interest. Just like this that was posted there, you know, refuting the claims of
I think Madi should go back and do
well.
politics 101. I think Madi has lost it, because any sensible person, any sane person would not make such a claim. Now, yes, to some extent, there should be a fine line between the state and the party in power, for the purpose of giving oxygen to what we call democracy. But in some cases, particularly in this case, why do you draw the line? Now, the Ministry of Information did not issue a press release. We shared a press release that has to do with allegations made against the presidency. And our job is to defend and protect the integrity of the presidency at all times. Now, yes, there's a government in power, but the NPP is the government in power. Now, if you want to have a scenario where you create a total fundamental wedge between the party on one hand and the government on the other, it doesn't also make sense. We know what we are doing as a ministry. We made this decision. I made this decision to make sure it is shared because of the implications of the statement, and that there was a need to clarify this. Now, if we've seen many NPP press releases, but nobody ever saw the ministry sharing them. This is a particular case where the presidency itself, the presidency itself was mentioned.
Well, the presidency is NPP.
No, what I'm saying is that the president is NPP, but the president is the president of the Republic of the Gambia. Any statement that will undermine the integrity of the presidency or bring the presidency into disrepute, it is job of the Minister of Information to make that clarification or to amplify that clarification. Now, in fact, we should have been the first to make the clarification, because the president makes appointments in his capacity as president of the Republic. If somebody goes and makes a false statement, the president offered him that appointment, which is false. It is our role to do it. It is also the MPP's role to do it. Both of us can do it, but if they do it, we can also amplify it, and we see no wrongdoing in that. And if MPP makes another statement, which is purely political, partisan politics, we will not get involved. But if it has to do with something that brings the reputation of the presidency under disrepute, the Minister of Information will either take a position or will amplify it.
But does the Public Service Regulations Act works with that?
Tell me, which regulation have you violated? I want to know that regulation.
Because maybe one would say that should be on the NPP.
Tell me the regulation.
That should be on the NPP's page, not the ministry.
No.
I know that stands as a government
what I'm saying
as well,
is that,
but
what I'm
probably
saying is
shouldn't.
that, when do you draw the line between NPP and government? The government is an NPP government. I mean, sometimes when people make these statements, it makes me now confirm that most of these people need to go back and understand how governance works, how party politics works, what is the relationship between the government and the party in power. People don't understand these relationships. It's very fluid. Like I said, if the NPP has released many statements over the years, did you see the ministry share those statements? No, because they are purely partisan at a level whereby the ministry can give. This one is another level. The spokesperson made allegations and bringing the office of the president into disrepute. It is either we release a statement to say it is false, or we amplify a statement which is it is false. It's our job to do it. Now, if anybody thinks that we have violated any law, either in the constitution or in the GOs, and wants to take the matter to court, well, we welcome you to do so.
Right. Well, Dr. said you're welcome to do so if any person is actually against this. Well, Doctor, we know that the West Africa and Central Africa chart a bold blue feature as well from the Gambia, which was recently held for the 50th, I think, time in the Gambia, and the chairperson also being a female. How about that?
Well, how about what? The event or the chairperson being a female?
The event, the chairperson, its development, showing the support, for women development, because we have seen so many forums of recent about women participations, when it comes to political issues, when it comes to holding platforms here and there, and women like this actually have also emerged. And what's the other
I can speak from government's commitment and government's from a policy perspective. It is government's commitment to make sure that women are empowered in this country. And that is why the President, His Excellency, has always made sure that he does initiatives that supports women, and that even the $50 million initiative to support NPP women is part of that, to empower women. We did a study and realized that most Gambian women are having difficulties in accessing finances, in empowering themselves, and it's part of it. So now, in this situation, the government supports it, and the government supports any initiative that promotes women and also that empowers women.
Right, Doctor. Any other update from the government, or what should we look out for next week?
Well, it's Ramadan, so not much is happening. If we have something next week, we'll be back and we'll share it with the public.
Right. And how was the independence celebration as well?
It was low-key. It was low-key. I think if you listen to the president's speech, it was very clear, one of the best speeches he has delivered on an independence platform, where he did not only talk about or give testament to his government's ongoing delivery as part of his mandate. We've all seen what is happening in the country, and nobody can deny that. Even the opposition has accepted that the president is delivering. They've accepted that in terms of electricity, and we've reached a milestone that no country in West Africa has reached. And you can correct me if I'm wrong, that today we've reached 90% access, electricity access. It means that we are on course to achieve universal access to electricity. It means that 90% of communities in the Gambia today are electrified. Villages in Kiang, in Jara, in Sanjal, in Siarar, in Basse, in Fonyi, even in West Coast region. That for 100 years. I know villages in the Gambia that have existed for hundreds of years. They've never had electricity in their homes. Now they have it. The roads the president is building, the schools, the classrooms is building to expand access to education. The health infrastructure is building to expand access to healthcare, sports infrastructure across the country, women empowerment initiatives, youth empowerment initiatives. All these are deliverables that the president has made a promise to the Gambian people. And I think the independence speech focused on what the government is doing, but also that the government is more committed to bring more development to the Gambian people.
That was a quite powerful speech there as well. Well, I'm jealous because I'm sad. Yesterday, Nawek made me not to sleep till 12. Even my village people are bluffing me because they have light 24/7.
Yes, so
24/7. My village in Kantora, they're not struggling for light.
Yes.
They sleep under light. They do everything. Whenever I call, I'm like, there's no light for how many hours? Nawek, why are you doing this? If people are enjoying, what happened?
A feeder was down in Kotu. Whenever you see extended periods of not having electricity, it has to do with either maintenance or some kind of technical problem. But now we are on course to make sure not only providing electricity to Gambians, but also stable electricity, stable supply of electricity. That is not a problem anymore. And I think we are on course. And I think for me, now we set our sights on ensuring that we have universal access. And today, like you said, in the provinces, they have 24 hours. They don't have that problem. But remember also, in urban Gambia, population growth as well. Over 60% of our population live in urban Gambia today, including KM, Banjul, West Coast region. And, obviously some of these pressures can also impact electricity supply, it can impact housing, it can impact also jobs and other issues. And we have to understand.
With the appliances as well. Nawek may be afraid, people are using a lot of appliances, but you need to cool down in the Ramadan as well. But Doctor, we know on Wednesday, okay, you normally do host the Minister's show on TV, which is all part of government's efforts in good governance, on the radio actually, GRTS radio, for accountability here and there. We know this Wednesday you're having the Minister of Foreign Affairs as well.
Yes. So what the program does, the minister, is to ensure that every Gambian, it's in the constitution that every Gambian must access information.
Right.
Now, governments must communicate with the public, and the president has given me the task to ensure that we communicate with the public in a very strategic manner. What the president wants is that the government should always be aware of the citizens' challenges, of their aspirations, of their needs, but also of their concerns, but also of their of how they think the country should be governed. What the president also wants is to ensure that at every point in time, the citizens know what the government is doing, how taxpayers' money is spent, but also what the government's initiatives and programs are. He wants the citizens to know that. So to create that feedback loop, that feedback mechanism, it's important that we are always constantly communicating with the public. That is why for the minister's program, it's a 2-hour program, where the first hour the minister tells us what he is doing, what are the initiatives, how is he planning to transform his sector. In the final hour, we open the lines for citizens all over the country to call now to maximize participation. What we've done is that we connect to almost 8 to 9 radio stations in the Gambia, so that even if you're not listening to GRTS radio, you can listen it to it through Paradise or Star or Q or whichever radio which is connected, just to maximize participation. We want to know what the public is saying. We want to know what their aspirations are. We want to know how has electricity in Kantora transformed life in Kantora, or what are other problems that you are facing in Kantora. We want to know, because we can only make policy by responding to the public's needs. Otherwise, we're making policy in the air. Policies respond to the public's needs, and I think there's no better way to communicate with the public than radio. And we did research also and realized that many Gambians, particularly in rural areas, get information to the radio. We also connect to community radios as well as part of this minister program. This week, like you said, we are having the Minister of Foreign Affairs to tell us exactly how the foreign service is helping transform Gambia, but also how the foreign service, because Gambians spend money in the foreign service, but how are they getting the benefit back? And I think he will be in a very good position to explain what he is doing, but also give the public the chance to call and ask him very relevant questions concerning his sector.
All right. Which is very, very important as well, and which actually also aligns with the national dialogue that comes in every year before the independence, which this is the 3rd one as well. Well, I think these are all great initiatives, but just one observation, I think maybe some of this, probably the local languages can be there, like on the national dialogue we had on Monday. It was quite interesting based on the achievements from last year and some of the challenges that were addressed, and the president also being able to address these needs of the people. We have obviously seen that as well, like you said, supporting women entrepreneurs here and there, road infrastructure, light here, but I feel like other languages are missing, because not everybody can speak Wolof.
In the national dialogue?
Yes, not every person can speak Wolof, not every person can speak English. So if we have maybe 4 or 5 of the local languages, and some of these challenges are being translated into that, so even somebody in Kantora, in my village, sitting down, can understand what they're saying. Okay, what has been done so far? I know they know these things, but it's important that they are also involved in the activities, not just watching and listening to one thing as well. But that's quite a huge achievement.
But new initiatives are never perfect. We keep on reforming them, making them better. I think this is a feedback that I think the organizers of national will take into account and make sure that next year they open it more, expand it more, so that other languages can also benefit from the national dialogue.
But aside from that, it was quite interesting. I admired the fact that young people were given the platforms, people from the diaspora, to just voice out their opinions and talk without any fear or favor. That was quite interesting to see the government of the Gambia actually encouraging that. I think that is very important.
That is Barrowland for you.
Yeah, quite true.
President Barrow has made a commitment to consolidate our democracy, transform our country, build the country, and that is what he's doing. And if you look at the Gambia today, every aspect, recently, today, they're telling us that we are 10th best governed country in Africa. We have the best passport in West Africa. Last month, it was, we are the safest country in West Africa and the 4th safest in Africa. Now, all these are testaments to not only the reforms taking place. So you see the explosive development taking place at different levels, parallelly. No country can do it like you consolidating your democracy, building a secure, stable, thriving democracy, a secure country. And then at the same time, you are delivering the goods. You're delivering electricity, roads, access to healthcare, access to education, women empowerment programs, youth empowerment programs, all the water, access to water, all these things taking place at the same time. I think the rate at which we are going, and all this is happening within a very short period of time, within 8 years. And consider the challenges that are taking place. COVID-19, a very difficult impasse, a very difficult transition, a very difficult transition from autocracy to democracy, and also population growth, obviously, because sometimes a country's economy doesn't grow in line with the population growth. It's, for example, today in your household today, if your income is $50, but that $50, it was 10 people in your household. Now, your population has grown to 20 people in your household, but your income in the household is not growing as fast as your population. These challenges can happen. But despite all these challenges we are facing, population growth, rural-urban migration, a youthful population, this is not a challenge for us, it's an opportunity. COVID-19, the 2 wars, Ukraine, and all these things happening globally around us. Yet we are able to make sure that we are able to increase salaries on 3 occasions, which is unprecedented. Obviously, we will think about it.
We need the 4th one.
We are supporting farmers with fertilizer at the price that is you cannot beat in the sub-region. We are buying their granules with a price you cannot beat in the sub-region. You see, all these things happening at the same time.
Yeah.
I think really.
Well, development comes with challenges, and the government is actually doing their best, especially when it comes to adolescents. I know others will complain now compared to the dollar. Before it was 54, now it's like 74. But when you hear other countries calling thousands of dollars, let me say dollars in their own money, and you compare that to our money, I'm like, oh, our money is way better.
In fact, before I forget, through
like
prudent fiscal and monetary policies, we are one of the most stable currencies in West Africa today. Apart from the fact that some people compare us to the franc CFA, but the franc CFA is used by 4 or 5 countries. It's a regional currency pegged to the euro. We are not a regional currency. We are not pegged to any foreign currency, and yet we are doing better than the CD, better than the Naira, better than the Leone, better than the American dollar. Yeah. We are doing very well as a single currency that is not pegged to anything. It's not a regional currency. And I think also, yes, cost of living crisis has affected every part of the world after COVID and the 2 wars in Ukraine and Israel. But we've also been able to stabilize prices in Gambia. I have not heard many people complaining about skyrocketing prices this Ramadan. We stabilized prices. The price of rice has gone down. Price of other basic commodities has been stabilized. And that has to do, it's not natural. It has to do with prudent policies consciously implemented by this government through subsidies. And when we talk about subsidies, we are subsidizing fuel at the pump. Today we are buying $80-something per liter. You're supposed to buy more than $100 per liter. But government is coming in and paying the rest for you, so you have extra money in your pocket. We are also subsidizing the per kilowatt hour you are paying for electricity at home. If you buy it for $17 per kilowatt hour, that's not the natural price. The natural price is way above that, but government is paying the rest for you. We are subsidizing other sectors as well, just to make sure that the public, Gambians, hard-working Gambians, have extra money into their pocket, so they're able to invest it in healthcare and education for their kids, so they can live a dignified life. And these are all conscious decisions by the government. That's why I said, what we are seeing in Gambia today, really, if you had told me this 15 years ago, that in 15 years' time, this is what will be happening in Gambia, I would never believe it, but I'm seeing it now, and I'm right inside, and I know what the president is doing, what the government is doing consciously to transform the lives of Gambians, to ensure every Gambian lives a dignified life, but also every young Gambian goes on to fulfill their true potentials as citizens.
All right, government is quite doing well there, but for the price hike, I think more monitoring needs to be done, because we have some stubborn body bunkers that even if government says that rice is 1,004, they're very stubborn. They can increase it to 1,006 without His Excellency knowing about it. So
So
we need
just
to
to be
monitor
clear,
them.
government can never say this is the price of rice.
I mean, for example.
I mean, the
like
price
putting
of
the
commodities
price.
in this country, we have a free market system, is determined by the dynamics of the market, demand and
International
supply.
market.
No, demand and supply.
Okay.
And that determines the price. But what government can do is to bring policies that ensure that prices go, at least they're stabilized or they go down through and for today, for example, today there's free duty. You don't pay duty for rice and certain basic commodities. It's free duties to make sure that the price go down, so that the money government was supposed to receive from the ports, from GRA, from customs, for your rice imports, government is foregoing it, so you can get cheap rice at the market. Government could have said that, you know what, for every ton of rice you are paying this as an import duty.
Yeah.
But government is foregoing that, making it free so that the price of rice can go down. All these are conscious efforts that government is making to make sure that the price of rice, which is a staple food, is stabilized. Today, the last time I checked, the wholesale price of rice went down up to $1,400, $1,500. I'm not so depending on where you are, because the price of rice in Caraba Avenue is different from the price of rice in a sub corner in Basse. It's different from Serekunda.
$400.
What?
I don't know, 2,250.
No.
That's
You
for the
don't
big rice.
eat rice.
I do eat
No,
rice.
no.
That's
Rice
it.
is thousands.
That's a small bag. I bought rice just recently.
No. 50 kilogram
Okay.
rice. Maybe you eat the
It's
most
too
expensive
full.
rice. The normal rice that people like us eat, the rice that is 1,007, 1,008,
It's
1,006. No, the
Okay,
rice you
maybe
eat.
it depends on the bags, but
No,
the
no,
one I got
even-
right now, the 25 kg,
What
that was like 1,000 something. The big bag,
No,
is
because the rice you
2,004.
eat is different from the rice we eat. You eat the most expensive. That's your choice. That's your choice. But the rice we eat, I think it's called American rice.
The
Correct me if I'm correct. The American rice, we buy it for 1,007, 1,008 in some
Oh,
places.
okay.
Jaras is selling for also around 1,006, 1,007. But you prefer to go and buy the most expensive rice, the basmati, broken rice, which rich people eat. That's your choice. You can go on and buy that because you can afford it. What we can afford is the cheap rice, and that's what we buy.
Okay, maybe I'll become rich. That is, if there's another increment of salary, then maybe I can buy rice of $5,000 again. But Doctor, many thanks for that update from the government. We hope to see you next week as well with latest developments from the government.